Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Planted Unearthed. My name's Sam Peters and I'm one of the co-founders of Planted, the first contemporary design show aimed at reconnecting cities with nature. In recent times, we've been discussing how design, sustainability, food and nature can combine to create cleaner, greener, healthier urban spaces. Today, we're speaking to one of the country's leading female entrepreneurs who has built up her Bramley brand from humble beginnings, supplying soaps to a once little-known pub in Wiltshire, to now be one of the most recognisable beauty brands on our shelves, sold by many of the UK's most prestigious retail outlets. Indeed, with a worldwide focus now on hand hygiene and looking after our health and well-being, Bramley's stock has never been higher. So it's a pleasure to welcome today the creator of Bramley and a friend of Planted, Chloe Luxton. Chloe, welcome to Planted Unearthed.
Thank you for having me.
That's our pleasure. Chloe, how have the last few months been for you personally? How's the Bramley business doing? It's obviously been a tough time for lots of people, but how are you guys getting on?
Well, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, obviously, the sort of mid-March, whenever it was, the 17th, we had that sort of devastating news that the hospitality industry had to shut down. And 70% of our business, basically our bath and body business, was to hotels and pubs and supplying their bedrooms for the guests. So we basically lost all of that business overnight, and we were just like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Fortunately for us, we did have, we sell hand wash, and we had hand sanitizer already on our list of products that we were bringing out. So we just sort of spoke to our manufacturer and said, look, please, can we just get the hand sanitizer up to the top of the production? And he amazingly was able to turn it around for us. So and then it went nuts. It just went nuts online for us. So although we lost all of the sort of the wholesale side of it, suddenly we were making up for that just through all people ordering directly from our website. So that was a massive relief, really, and it meant that obviously we could continue working. Where our space, where we have our head office, has all our warehousing and distribution below. So we all actually just stayed in the office. It's an old threshing shed, so it's huge upstairs. So we were able to social distance and sort of keep to the COVID guidelines. And actually, that was great for the business because we could all sort of still be there working throughout. So yeah, it's been nuts. And then obviously in June the retailers came back on. So that sort of that business side came back on. We're in Fortnum & Mason, and so they took our hand sanitizer actually, which has been brilliant for us. And then the pubs came back on sort of July, August. So we're sort of back to normal, but we're also not, because our supply chain has been massively affected because obviously, and we've got an 8-week lead time on our products, and we're now out of stock of our shampoo and conditioner body wash, just because it's just the backlog of not having the pubs and trying to forecast and not knowing anything. But we're getting there. And on a personal level, it's again been pretty full on because we've got 3 small children, and it was juggling, and it was the homeschooling, and the homeschooling sort of basically lost out a little bit, and we ended up just really enjoying the weather and living in this beautiful countryside that we do. So there was a lot of, we got tadpoles, we got stick insect eggs and watched them sort of grow, and we did a lot of walking. So it's sort of been quite a mixed bag, really, sort of when you look back. I felt the guilt of, the work-child life balance, and I felt the guilt of not being able to homeschool the children as much as I'd like to, but then I sort of weighed it up and I thought, actually, these are really crazy times, and let's just embrace the fact that the weather's great and we live in a beautiful part of the countryside. So the children will learn.
Sounds very sensible approach. It's you've just got to sort of do what's best and what feels right as a parent, and I guess, as you say, very lucky to live where you guys do, and we're obviously close by. But it's a time when lots of people have really been able to connect with nature. I mean, that's a big part of what Planted stand for, and obviously a big part of what Bramley stands for as well. And I guess on the really positive side, the fact that you've been able to do something that's been able to help people and help the situation is got to be a really positive thing for your business and your brand, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were really lucky that the hand sanitizer, was so well received. We developed it for obviously the online business, but also for the hotels that we work with and the shops that we work with. And it's really important. My husband has a pub. It's really important that they had something that they could give to their guests whenever they sort of were allowed to reopen. And we've just, we're just really quite lucky that we're in the hand washing and hand sanitizer business. But we've been giving back as well, and during lockdown I had this crazy situation where this email came through from the Duchess of Cambridge's private secretary saying that she was doing this initiative to help focus on, because during lockdown a lot of families obviously struggled and people lost their jobs, and so she was raising awareness and bringing brands together, British brands, to donate product to these baby banks for families living in poverty. So at least we're able to give back to help people as well.
Yeah, sounds like a brilliant initiative and brilliant project to have been part of. I'm sure everyone can say they received an email from the Duchess of Cambridge during lockdown. It just happens every day for us.
We thought it was a hoax.
Oh, that's great, and sounds like, as I say, a great project to have been part of. And I mean, I'm not surprised that the product's done so well. The hand sanitizer in particular. I mean, feels like everywhere we go around the sort of this beautiful Nadder Valley that we're in at the moment, that all the top sort of pubs and restaurants in the area are stocking it, and indeed all the lovely deli in Tisbury just up the road from us as well. But could you tell us a little bit about it? I mean, it looks and smells amazing. It's just, anyone who hasn't actually used it, it's a kind of combination of different mints, isn't it? But you're the expert. Yeah. You tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, the basis of all our products are the therapeutic effects, really. So they're all natural bases, and then they're fragranced with pure essential oils. So the essential oils themselves have different therapeutic effects and properties. So like in the hand wash, we have like lemon and lavender, sort of, beautifully sort of cleansing essential oils. But then in the hand sanitizer, as well as obviously having the alcohol, which is what you have to make it effective, we've got rosemary, spearmint and peppermint, which are all sort of naturally antibacterial anyway. So it just sort of boosts the sort of properties of the sanitizer. And we were just, it smells amazing. I'm so proud of it. But it just is, with the rest of the products, it sort of just fits in.
We were walking past the Beckford Arms, Charlie's pub, your husband's pub. Indeed, we mentioned at the top of the show, but and Deb's, my wife, just said, I've just got to pop in. I was like, what are you doing? I'm not going into, I just need to get some of the Bramley sanitizer on my hands. So she's literally going out of her way to get the product. It really is special. So I recommend anybody watching, if you need some really high grade, high quality hand sanitizer, to pop out or go online and buy some of the Bramley product. I mean, we talked about the pub there, Chloe, but just tell us a little bit about the origins of Bramley, please. It's something obviously you set up yourself and in conjunction with Charlie, but can you tell our audience a little bit about how the origins of the brand?
So I met Charlie when I was working for Cowshed, which is the other Bath and Body brand that is owned by Soho House, and he was working for Soho House. Anyway, we got married and decided to move down to we knew we wanted to move out of London. I'm originally from Devon and Charlie's originally from Cornwall, so we kind of knew we wanted to move this way. And that's when he found the Beckford Arms, because he wanted to have his own pub. And it had 8 bedrooms, and so I was like, well, brilliant, now is the time to do my own Bath and Body range, which is what I'd always wanted to do. So it was great because I had that sort of ready-made customer, really. So that's how it came about. I knew I wanted it to be natural, because it was really important to me as a person, basically, that it had to be sustainable and that it wasn't damaging the environment. And then I wanted it to reflect the sort of beautiful countryside that we're in around here, hence why it's got the flowers and I just thought it's so important to have that connection with nature. So whenever you get flowers or see flowers, it just kind of fills you with joy. So I was like, how can we transfer that into the bathroom? And that's sort of basically how it came about. So it was purely just for the Beckford Arms rooms, and then it sort of gained traction because obviously Charlie had been in the hospitality business and people came down to stay with us and they were like, oh, can we have this? And I was like, yeah, great, amazing. So it's just sort of grown, you know, very organically. You know, we didn't have a 5-year plan or anything like that. We are just, it's been a lovely sort of, I hate the word journey, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And also, as you say, I think the thing that is really special about the product is that, you know, it's got these lavender, these natural oils, rosemary oils, and people, I think perhaps learning a lot, but understanding just what kind of, how good and effective these natural call them products, but just literally things which grow out of the ground can be in helping clean and maintain hygiene and just general cleanliness. And with that aroma and the smell of the product is so wonderful. It's got a kind of real calming kind of sense to it.
And I wanted it to be, you know, that sort of, you know, we're in lots of lovely hotels. We're lucky to be in the Pig Hotel and, you know, Artist Residence. And I think a lot of people have experienced Bramley because they've been staying at a hotel where hopefully you're having a lovely time. And I wanted you to sort of, you know, when you open that product, you put it in your hand and you smell it, I wanted it to sort of almost transport you to the British countryside or, you know, or a time where you're having an amazing time. And it is the power of those sort of essential oils, because there is a very sort of you know, I find that fake fragrances, for want of a better word, are very one-dimensional. You know, you smell it, it's an instant impact, but with the essential oils, it sort of keeps on giving, and you sort of might smell the geranium, then you might smell the lavender, and it's just sort of, it's a very sensorial experience, and hopefully that will help with people's emotional, you know, feelings as well.
Yeah, well, it definitely does with us. So you've got some fans on our side, that's for sure. And we touched on this idea of reconnecting with nature, Chloe. I mean, how important is it to you personally that the products are made sensitively and with the environment in mind?
Oh, no, completely. I mean, that is basically a massive part of the ethos at Bramley, how we can be as environmentally sort of friendly and sustainable as possible. So all of our plastic bottles are made using a biopolymer, which means that, well, they are biopolymer, which means we use sugarcane in the production as manufacturing process as opposed to finite fossil fuels. Everything's 100% recyclable. It's HDPE plastic, which is a really easily recyclable plastic. The pumps are also pumps notoriously have been hard to recycle because there are so many different components. We have now a pump that you can basically chuck in the recycling and there is no component in there that can't be recycled. We also launched all of the products in glass probably about 3 years ago now, so we could give people the alternative who were trying to go plastic free, and they proved really popular. We're still sort of struggling slightly with the hotel side of how you put glass into hotel bathrooms from a health and safety point of view, but we do have brackets that they can use as well. And then we also launched a big 1 litre, and we also have 5 litres that you can buy online. So for us, it's really about giving people the choice, you know, because some people might say, well, glass, you know, the manufacturing process in glass is, you know, you have to melt the sand to such a high quality, you know, temperature that's detrimental. So, you know, we try and give people the choice, and they get to make the decision as to whether or not where they want to go. But we're trying to have everything manufactured in the UK. Our bottles are all manufactured in the UK. Everything, you know, the labels are UK based, and all of our packaging, as in like the gift packs, all made in the UK. So everything we do, we sort of question, is it sustainable? Is it what the customers want? And yeah, so basically.
What's so interesting, I think, and the longer we're going through this process and speaking to brands like yourself and businesses who've kind of set up to run in a sustainable way and be respectful of the environment, you know, really genuinely care that you don't want to damage the planet, and you want to create something beautiful which is helping people today but not damaging tomorrow. But it's really hard. It's hard work.
Yeah. And there's no, you know, there's always something that you could change. And there's always, like, we're looking at aluminium bottles, but again, the process of aluminium, you know, the manufacturing process is this, again, this very high temperature that you have to melt, and therefore, you know, you need the heat, and it's just, and then a lot of people like to be able to see the products. If it's going in a hotel, the hotel need to see, you know, how much product is left for them to top up. They can't do that if it's in, you know, it's just, it's always a juggling act, and it's, I think it's about giving people the choice. But it's also about trying to do the best that we can do, really, and just keep, you know, we keep looking. At the moment, as I said, this is a biopolymer plastic. We're looking at whether we can put some PCR in there, but with the PCR, post-consumer recycled, is what it's
just going to ask.
Yeah, is you get a grey tinge to the plastic. So ours is a very clean product, but then if it goes, you know, suddenly it's in this grey greeny bottle, it doesn't look as nice, and so it's that constant sort of juggling. But we're always.
I mean, what I'm learning, and I'm sure you're way ahead in this area, but I guess the key thing is to keep exchanging ideas, isn't it? And learning perhaps from other brands and learning from other businesses, and what you know, what we can learn from each other, I guess. And hopefully, as time goes on, well, hopefully we really need to get to the point where this is a sort of critical mass of where the consumers demand that every business has very, very high standards around production and manufacturing. But you guys are doing a great job at the moment, that's for certain. I mean, you mentioned you didn't have a 5-year plan when you started the business, which is actually really refreshing to hear. But I mean, do you have a 5-year plan? I guess it's quite hard to have a 5-minute plan at the moment, but do you have a kind of longer term view of where Bramley would go? What would success look like for you in 5 years' time, Chloe?
I mean, you know, we've tried to sort of almost sit down and do a 5-year plan, and it's sort of impossible because there are so many different opportunities that come along in the way, you know, along the way. So hopefully the future's looking bright, but I think, you know, I'm just enjoying the everyday and sort of working towards, you know, being as environmentally and sustainable as possible. You know, we're looking to expand into refill shops. We're in quite a few refill shops, but I think that's a great way of sort of, you know, improving sustainable living. And I'm just constantly looking to improve how we can be more sustainable. But enjoying it along the way.
That's good to hear. I mean, can you tell us a bit about some of the refill shops you're in? Because that's certainly a space we're really interested in. You know, you can buy buy products that are sustainable and sourced sustainably, and they're good for the environment, or certainly not damaging to the environment. But if you're constantly buying them in plastic bottles week in, week out, that's not doing any good to anybody, is it? So tell us about some of those refill shops.
So we're in, there's a lovely sort of chain called Source, who are based in London. They've got 3, I think they're opening another one shortly. They're called Source Bulk Foods. And then we have recently launched our gift boxes in John Lewis, but they are also taking the 5-litre jerry cans, which are sort of the big old, you know, ones that you can sort of keep under your basin and refill. So that's sort of a great opportunity for us, really, to get to the wider market that we can't do sort of. But and we're constantly being approached by refill shops around the country, and that's a sort of a massive plan for us this year. We can do the products in 20-litre big, you know, pretty unattractive, but we're trying to make them look nicer. Big sort of drums, and it's just a really cost-effective way of doing it for the customer, but also it means that, you know, we're helping sort of stop the sort of too many plastic bottles being around and working towards that.
That sounds like a great plan. So overall, you touched on not being optimistic. I mean, hand washing's here to stay, that's for sure. Thank goodness for that. We all probably got the cleanest hands the country's ever had, and quite rightly so. But I mean, from that perspective, you know, we've talked about different habits and behaviours that are going to stay after we get through this horrendous coronavirus situation. But hand washing is certainly one that's at the top of the agenda, isn't it? So from Bramley's perspective, how optimistic are you for the future?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, quite sort of optimistic, hopefully. You know, you just never know what's around the corner. You know, something might happen, they say, no, don't wash your hands anymore. You know, you just don't know. But fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, it's looking okay, and we're bringing out some. We've already got new collections due in the pipeline, so they'll be coming out soon. We've got some other collaborations. So it's looking good for the moment.
That's great to hear. Well, you've heard it from me already. I mean, we're big fans of Bramley at Planted, and I'm delighted to say, in fact, and thank you to you, Chloe, that we'll be able to be showing off the Bramley product at London Design Festival next week, where we're going to be setting up a studio and talking about all things sustainability, food and nature, and how they can combine to create healthier, greener cities and urban spaces. And yeah, the Bramley product will be on display and there for everyone to use. So it just leaves it for me to say, if you've enjoyed today's Planted Unearthed conversation, I'm delighted to say we'll be back with more high quality content when we launch our Planted Unplugged Talks programme, led by Oliver Heath and in association with Biotecture as part of London Design Festival beginning on Friday, September the 18th. You can access our 3-part talks programme by registering on our website, www.planted-cities.co.uk, where you'll also be able to get a flavour of what our main physical show launch will look like next May, with a showcase product launch of some of our favourite sustainable brands. But for now, all it leaves is for me to say thank you again to Chloe and to Bramley. Thanks to you for watching. My name's Sam Peters, and this has been Planted Unearthed. Stay safe and stay tuned.